All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you guys so much for joining today's webinar. Hopefully, by the time we're done today, you guys are going to feel confident in knowing and understanding your members, as last week's webinar was mainly about new members. As you bring on new members on board to your spa, your EFT members, of course, being who we want to do this focus training on, these consultations on, because we want to keep them coming back again and again. So to recap last week with Alyssa Fink, she covered when you sign up a new member what the first two consultations are that you should cover, which is always the new member consultation, and hopefully many of you had taken a lot from that to be able to allocate further product sales, retail sales, as well as ambassador leads, and also skincare consultations. Now what we're going to do is cover the part where you have existing members that are paying you monthly dues to come in and utilize the program that you'd set up for them, and making sure that you stay in the eyes and ears and know what their hot buttons are at all times, constantly knowing exactly what you can do to service and provide the ultimate customer service to your members. That way you never lose them. So we all know that the artery of our businesses, our Planet Beach locations, the longevity is only promised with a high net EFT. And we always say that collections is number one, and maintaining that draft each month is always our main focus. And paid in full and retail sales, those are great money in the bank, instant cash categories. However, there is no guarantee that that is always going to be happening every single day, although we wish it would. There is no guarantee with that, and with the recurring revenue guaranteed with a net EFT, it's important that we stay engaged with our members each and every day. So what is a 90-day personal spa profile consultation and a cancellation consultation? Many of you may or may not have heard of these before, but what we're hoping to do today on this webinar is get you 100% confident, educated, understanding of how, when, what to do in order to maintain that draft, in order to maintain all of these members, to stay members with you. So sit tight. We're going to go through a little bit here. Hopefully I won't take up much of your time, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So the overview for today is, why are we going to do these consultations? Why do them? We're going to have a little exercise, which today we might not sit so much on this particular webinar and spend that time to go through this exercise, but this is being recorded. So hopefully what we can do there is make sure that you can go back, replay it, and you can pause, rewind, and do this exercise that we're going to go through today. What resources to utilize, the 90-day PSP consultation and the cancellation consultation. Now, before I move forward, I do want you guys to reference the little box that you guys have, the control panel. Once you logged into this webinar, you should see handouts. I uploaded some of these documents. We're going to reference it throughout the call or throughout this training. And please reference those. That way you can download them and you can follow along either now or later on whenever you go through this recording and try this one more time. But please make note to check the handouts in that box, in that control panel, and make sure you download all of those documents so you know exactly what we're talking about and you can follow along. So why do consultations? Why perform them? Well, if this is pretty much a no-brainer, but if you're new to the company, if you're a new spa director, if you're new consultation, or if you're a new consultant or a new franchisee, the importance of consultations is to stay engaged with your member overall, but you stay informed. Member knowledge is power. Using upcoming events to keep them using services, random acts of kindness such as birthdays, maybe they have wedding anniversaries, maybe they just graduated from college or high school, or something that you want to celebrate, or even if it's sympathy, if it's they've lost a loved one, things to that nature. The random acts of kindness is always good to do and stay informed. But when you perform these consultations, what we mean by member knowledge is power is when the member communicates with you, basic conversations. How are you today? Oh, I'm feeling exhausted. I've been, exercising a lot, but, my muscles are tired. But they're a UV member only. Giving them a week of spa services and knowing to have your consultants and your entire staff trained to know to say, you know what, you only use UV, you started exercising. We have services that's going to help make you feel 20 pounds lighter, because all that lactic acid buildup in your muscles right now for being so sore is what's weighing you down and making you feel so sleepy. So let's go ahead and get you set up on that so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is what we mean by member knowledge is power. Why perform consultations? You get ongoing retail sales. The same as we just mentioned about the example of the member coming in talking about being tired all the time and they just started exercising. They don't understand why. The same goes for retail sales. You can upsell them with different retail products that we have. We have a nutrition line that you can take advantage of, and so on and so forth. In an example just like we had a few moments ago. Ongoing referral generators. It's very important understanding that Planet Beach is a belly-to-belly type marketing business. We rely on referrals to succeed over any radio advertisements, Groupons. Our number one source of lead generation is referrals across the board. So you're almost guaranteed the ongoing referrals to come from these members when you perform these consultations. Always being on top of current member contact billing information equals higher collection rates. When you perform these consultations and you're constantly engaging with your members, you're knowing whenever they move. You know when they get a new address, if they have a new email address, if they have a new phone number. You're staying in communication with them to see maybe they have a new card to put on file or ACH, maybe they have a new checking account, they want to switch accounts. But you're basically concreting the fact that you're going to stay in communication with them to know any of these changes, which is super important because that's the number one reason we don't have the collection rate that we want, is because we're chasing people for new cards once they report it lost or stolen, and they forget all about us. Well, because we don't stay in the eyes and ears of them, they don't know to contact us. They just assume, and it's hard to get in touch with them. So you're wasting hours and hours of your life, of the month, of the week, of the day, trying to find and locate these members to get updated information when it can become easy once you stay on top of it and get ahead of the game. Also, upgrading opportunities. Consultations are always great upgrading opportunities for the simple fact of many of you out there are existing locations 2 years or more. So with that being said, most likely you have UV, and you have a lot of UV members that strictly use 1 or 2 specific beds, and they don't even care to hear about the conversations on a hydroderma fusion treatment or red light therapy that's going to really help with enhancing and prolonging those results they're getting. Therefore, you don't have those opportunities if you're not performing consultations. If you're running as a tanning salon, you're not doing the consultations, you don't have those opportunities to talk to them and say, oh my goodness, you can come here so few days a week compared to the 5 that you're coming in. I'm sure that's inconvenient for you. We can cut that back to 2 days a week if you use these other services to help enhance and prolong those results, and you get it much faster. So by performing these consultations, you have that platform to communicate that to them. And without that happening, you're going to continue to get less amounts from that member. So that's another big reason why we perform these. And then lastly, plugging the leak, saving the hit to your net EFT from the members that want to cancel you. I know it's the tale as old as time. I remember being in your shoes. Throughout the month, you're so focused on hitting your goals each day, each month. Where are we to hitting these goals? Our red appointments now, we're all about the reds the last couple of years. That's all seems to be the focus. Covering the clock, people calling in, people quitting, hiring, all these things that you have going on. What happens is everybody who puts their cancellations throughout that entire month, it's always the last 2 days of the month that you're like, oh my God, I totally forgot. I should have been calling these people, but I had other priorities. And it slips through the cracks. And what happens is you end up having to cancel them out because you don't have time to consult with them. Well, what we're going to cover today when we get to the cancellations consultation is a way for you to stay on top of it and ahead of the game by having a frequent time that you want to check in on all of the members that request to cancel. We do across the board have 60 days to be able to sway them to either freeze, downgrade, transfer, whatever the case might be. So now we're gonna figure out today a process to follow in order to stay on top of that. That way we don't have to wait last minute, put a cancellation through, and next thing you know it, we have about $600 in cancellations, but we only sold $300 in an EFT increase. That's not okay. Right? So that's what we're going to cover today. This is all reasons why it's very important to have these consultations with your members, even if it means having an informal one that's aside, you step away from the podium, maybe you don't have time to sit down with them on the couch with all of the documents we're going to reference. Even if it means you have to do that informal pull aside and have that conversation, it's important that we do. Now it's exercise time. I mentioned before when we first started this webinar, we may not have the time to do this entire exercise, which hopefully you'll go back, play this recording, and do it later on where you can pause, rewind, fast forward, whatever you need to do. But I just want to bring some light to this training specifically. And it's something that I got from a training from a very successful business consultant when we went to a seminar out in Houston. And I took this from him and I was like, you know what? This is amazing. We always think, yeah, we'd all love to make more money. We'd love to be able to book more red appointments, sell more, but we have so many things, so many obstacles in our way that prevent us from being able to do a lot of the things that we need to do in order to be successful. So we know pretty much what it takes. It's just a lot of the times we don't have the resources, time, we don't have that luxury to be able to do a lot of these things. But I really just wanted to perform a small exercise with you just to have a little eye opener. And again, maybe you can go back later on to start that process later on to figure this out. But just imagine if you did the following. Just go with me here. Imagine if, and you could take this by going through and getting November's numbers in Spa Central. Imagine if you increase your membership cash by 10%. And then imagine if you increase your retail by 10% of what you did in November. Then take and imagine what you would have done if you would have increased your red appointments that you had scheduled, booked, or even confirmed, maybe follow up with a missed appointment that you know you probably forgot to do or that slipped through the cracks. But just imagine increasing that by 10%. So how many reds did you book? Was it 70, 60, 40, 20 month of November? 10% more of that. Just imagine. Imagine if you increase your new members, your EFT increase by 10%. Then in Spa Central, you'll notice next to the EFT increase column, there is a column that says net EFT increase/decrease. Now that's your actual. That's based on incorporating everybody that canceled into that EFT increase based on how many new members you sold. That is your actual number. Imagine if you decrease that by 10%. Well, let's figure it out. You probably will need a calculator whenever you do this, but like I mentioned, if you want to get these totals, you can either go into Spa Goal Management in your Spa Intel to see the actuals versus the goal you set for November, so you can access it there, or you can go to Spa Central and pull up and filter by November in the bank totals to do this exercise. So you'll look up the revenue categories for membership cash, retail, EFT increase, and net EFT increase decrease revenue category totals. Then how you'll do it is add 10% to each of the category totals, and in the event that you don't know how to do that, maybe you've not done this before, you're a consultant, or you're trying to get your consultants to do this exercise with you, here's a brief explanation of how you would do this. Now take all of those categories except for the net EFT increase decrease category, which is membership cash, retail, and EFT increase. If for some reason you made $14.80 in mem cash, what you'll do is multiply that number by 0.10, that's 10%, then you're going to take that number and add it to the $14.80 total, which is $148. So add $148 to the $14.80, that's $16.28 that you could have made in membership cash if you would have just pushed yourself to increase 10% for membership cash alone. Then what you'll do is go to the net EFT decrease category and subtract 10% from that total. So the same way we just added 10% to each of those other category totals, do the same for the net EFT increase decrease or your EFT decrease, how many people canceled. Then you'll notice a huge change in what your numbers could have been for November, and you probably would have been bumped up at least 10, 15 rankings in Spa Central. It's a pretty big eye-opener. So I want you to spend time on doing this later on whenever you go back and listen to the recording of this webinar, simply because it's going to take you some time and we don't want to sit here and take up any more of your time. Many of you are in the spas right now. So what are the resources and tools that you'll need to do now that we're moving forward and we're going to try to talk about plugging this leak and retaining these members? In your handouts, we referenced that you'll have a personal spa profile, the personal regime builder form. You'll see a referral card for ambassador, and you'll see a couple of other handouts as well that we're going to cover in just a little bit. These are all of the resources and tools you want to have readily available when you perform your 90-day personal spa profile consultation. So for reactive purposes, to do the 90-day personal spa profile, it's simple. There's a reactive way and there's a proactive way, as always, in everything that we do. So let's talk about reactive. Let's talk about if we want to go ahead and implement this process today and we didn't have time to prepare for this to be proactive for it. Well, what can you do? You can take a look at your appointment book for the upcoming day and look at each member's service history. You know, every time you check in those members in the appointment book when they come in for their services, that little yellow box that comes up, actually, I might have it for you here. Looks like this. Many times we just try to get the member in and out of the service, and there's so much information that you see here that that box pops up to give to you for sales opportunities, upgrading opportunities, basic reloading opportunities, right? If they're sessions members, it'll tell you how many sessions that they have left or what type of membership that they have and services that they've used last. But something I want you to pay close attention to is that join date. So to be reactive here, it's very simple. That box that pops up with the detail for the customer's information is right there, right in front of you. And that tells you when they joined with their membership. If they're a fairly new member, if it's the first 3 months of their membership, you can do the math to see when it's been 3 months. Or you can see based on if it's a 90-day personal spa profile consultation, you can go through and see just how many 3 months have gone by to see if it's time for them to do another one. But that's where you can access that information. So don't be so quick to ignore that little yellow box that pops up whenever people are coming in and out to use services, because that's a pretty big sales tool that we miss out on every single day. So with that said, we're going to take a look at that. We're going to pay attention to that for the upcoming day. And every member coming in and out, we're going to take a look at that service history and we're going to plan ahead. We're going to look at when did they join. We're going to look at what services they're using the most of. We're going to see what did they sign up for? What's their area of interest? It's important that we pay attention to that because let me tell you, I can't tell you how many times people have come in just to buy one Mystic that I sold an EFT membership to because they're going to do it again. They're doing it 2-3 times a month. Let's get them on an easy pay program that's more feasible for them. It's frugal. It makes more sense and it's not as expensive to do it that way. I want them on an EFT anyway. So as many times as we've gotten people on that, since then you've had these members stay with you for so long. Maybe they've had children since then. Maybe their bodies have changed. Maybe they haven't been working out. You know, you never know what people's areas of interest is, and that's the emotional hot button of the sale. That's why it's important for us to re-PSP them. We have services other than that spray tan that they can utilize that's going to keep them paying you each and every month. If they're a walk-in and they didn't have an appointment, don't panic. Just research it whenever they go into their services and prepare yourself with those documents to try and catch them on the way out. If they're in a hurry, no big deal. Go ahead and schedule their consultation and say, you know what? Just because I want to check on you and see how you're loving your membership, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes next time you come in, let's go ahead and book your next service appointment. I'd love to catch up. I'd love to see how you're loving all of this stuff. I want to talk to you about this other service that we're getting. Maybe you guys are getting the Hot Box Detox. Maybe you guys have something else that you might have added in your service equipment that you want to talk to them about, as well as consult you on an opportunity to not have to pay for this ever again. And that's the ambassador. So that's going to urge them and encourage them to want to book that appointment with you. So as you see here, to be proactive, you can print the member report by type, divide up those list of members by spa consultants, and in slower traffic times, you know, that very dreaded 10 a.m. time or 10:30 time when everybody kind of just says, well, everybody's at work or class, so you don't have anybody coming in. Usually you prospect at those hours. Consider doing retention tasks and prospecting tasks and divide that up evenly so that way you're making sure that you cover all your bases there in the spa. So here are the steps to cover. Have the PSP in front of you when consulting. So for new members, typically we give the PSP after we do the guest greeting. We give that to the customer whenever they come in. We greet them, we sit them down, we ask them if they'd like a beverage, water, tea, whatever you guys have to offer. They fill out the personal spa profile themselves, and you can access the most recent one in that handout if you download it in your control box right now if you're on that webinar. But in this case, we want to have it in front of us because we are consulting them. So having that PSP in front of you when consulting them is very important because you're going to be asking them the questions. They're not going to be filling it out. They've already seen that before. They don't need to see it again. So use that as your tool because it's the conversation piece that you need. It's going to prompt you on what questions to ask next. You're not going to give it to them to fill out and then review it and then give them a tour. They're already members. So here are some questions that you can take with you. If you want to write this down, take a screenshot. If you want to catch it later on, that's fine. But always kick it off with, when you sit down for that consultation that you scheduled, okay, Miss Mary, how are you loving your program? We say program, I mean membership. So how are you loving what you're doing? You look amazing. I'm seeing results from you already as an outsider. I've seen you come in since day one. I've already seen the results. You must have been sticking to that, diet meal or the meal plan. You must have been sticking to your workout regimen, or you must really love those products that you started using, the Energize or the Nourish, and have that opening conversation by starting it off with how are you loving your program. Keyword loving. That's a good and a positive power word, impact. Love is one of the top 3 power words in any sales pitch at all. Love and new. New is another big one. So how are you loving your program? Not like, how are you loving it? Tell me, Miss Mary, are you happy with the results that you're having or achieving or receiving, whatever the case might be, but are you happy with your results? This is usually when you find out from that member, oh yeah, I am, but I noticed that lately, when I'd spray, I'd get, one of my sides of my arms gets, a little messed up, or maybe this is the part where it reveals to you that you may need to do some maintenance on your services, whatever the case might be. Maybe they say, yeah, I noticed I reached a plateau though. I've been using your services. I haven't really been getting darker. Hello. That's a huge, huge red flag for you to say, oh my goodness, that's our fault. We haven't been setting you up and using our prep service, that liquid vitamin steam bath. We haven't been switching up some of this lotion product or aftercare moisturizer to extend the life of that for you. So all of these things are opportunities for you to write these notes down on that PSP, so that way later, whenever you set them up on what we're going to talk about in a second, that service, the personal regime builder, you'll be able to have all that for them to take with them in hand. So they'll have that information, and that's your opportunity to make some more sales that you never had the opportunity to make before. I see that 90 days ago, or I see 3 months ago, you originally joined us, and repeat the area of interest from their original sign up. Maybe it was sunless tanning, maybe it was weight management, whatever the case might be. They could have lost weight since then and they're not focused on doing that anymore. They've reached their goal. Maybe they just came in to do Mystic. They got a membership because, like we just mentioned, if somebody came in to buy one service, you did great by converting them to a member, but that's not specifically the only area of interest that they might be interested in. But repeat that. I see that 3 months ago, you originally joined us because of such and such reason. Is this still your main area of interest to work on? Because if not, we're going to go through here. We're going to find out. And that's typically when you go through the PSP to ask the questions from that point on. Those are the 3 magic questions you want to kick this consultation off with, and then go straight into your PSP where the questions are asked for you. Based on the possible changes to the member's area of interest, you'll refill out the personal regime builder and gather the products needed for the services they'll need to use and give it to them. So this is where, once you fill out the personal spa profile during the consultation, you'll see what their main area of interest has become. And then at that time, you're going to fill out the personal regime builder, which you can reference that in the handouts in your control panel off to the right-hand side once you had joined into this webinar. Download it from there. If not, all of these documents that we're referencing that I do have easily, quickly available for you here, all I did was take that from Orion. You can find them all in Orion. Once you get to Orion documents and type this in the search bar, the title of those different documents, it'll be able to pull up for you pretty quickly. But the personal regime builder isn't a Word doc for you to be able to modify, because it lists every service that we have along with every product that we have that goes with those services. You can take away based on what services you offer specifically in your spa. But this is where you set up the personal regime builder. Because you just went through the PSP, you'll find out how many days a week they have to dedicate, and that's when you can use the calendar at the bottom of that document to say, let's say they say 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example. You'll use this service, that service, and this service with this product, that service, and that product and this product. So that'll all be listed for them on paper for you to hand over to them, and they'll have that in hand to follow. It's almost like a calendar, an appointment reminder, if you will. Once you've done this and you've reestablished what their area of interest is, it may or may not have changed at all. Who knows? Chances are, 80% chance is actually, if they are not going to be changed and they're still only using the specific services that their area of interest matches, then most likely they're not using any products to help enhance or expedite the results you're promising them. So if anything, let's say that this wasn't anything, there were no changes, it's a bust. Nope, it's not a bust, because guess what? If for some reason they were using those services before and not the products to go with it, you just got retail sales. So it's important for you to pay attention to that and know that either way, you're winning. Now, at that time, you've established what they're going to be doing. Before you wrap up, you want to talk about the ambassador program. At that time, you're going to inform, remind them, maybe they've never been discussed about the ambassador program. Maybe they don't even know what that is. They don't know about the referral rewards program or loyalty rewards, whatever good power words you choose to use whenever you pitch ambassador. They either know or don't know, or they knew about it, but they forgot about it. But this is the time for you to say, now, lastly, I'm excited to tell you that now that you've reached your 90 days, you now qualify. And I'm excited to let you know that you qualify for the Member Ambassador Program. This program allows you to potentially use your membership and program that we have you set up on right now up to a lifetime without paying 1 penny for it. Now that's a good transition statement for you, so hopefully you can take that and you can take a screenshot, maybe write that down if you want to train on this later on. But that's a perfect way to segue yourself into a conversation of every consumer wants to stretch every dollar that they have. So that would be crazy for someone to say, no, I'm not interested. This is a perfect transition statement to catch the attention of the member and keep them listening, because they want to know how they can continue using these services without paying for it. This is usually where you go through the different steps. Repeat the details of the ambassador program to the member and hand over that referral card sheet that you just saw us. I just had that displayed on one of the slides here recently, and it is in your handouts for you to download as well. This is typically where you want them to go through and list all of the names of the people that they want to gift a week or a day of spa to. I always recommend a week, but that's totally up to you guys. Recommend somebody, they come in, let's say they become a member the same way you did. I would be so excited to be able to pick up that phone and let you know, hey, I'm paying for your membership next month. And then go through the steps. If you get 5, I'll pay for it for a year. And guess what? Get to 10, don't even worry about it. If you can maintain 10, then you'll never have to pay for this. And that's what I mean by you potentially being able to get a lifetime membership for completely free. So that was the 90-day consultation. What I want to do now is go through with you a cancellation consultation. Now, this is probably one of the most important ones of the two. The 90-day personal spa profile consultations are good to stay and maintaining your members, to keep them coming back, whether they are or are not using the services, their membership. You're gonna stay in the eyes and ears of them. You're gonna stay engaged. But this is the one that's most commonly a problem across the board, or not problem, but obstacle for you guys in your challenge to be able to do this. But when you have cancellations come through, it's important for you to spend at least once a week, maybe 1 day, 1 hour, one day a week on checking in on people. How many cancellations did I receive since last week when I did the same exact exercise? If you stay on top of it that way, people will never leave you. I mean, there are some situations where you just absolutely cannot control when somebody has to leave, but in a way, you can control it because there's always the transfer option. If it's medical, if it's their military, if they're moving into another area, they should be able to have that opportunity to transfer that membership, or you should be able to give them enough time to find someone to take that membership over. That way, you don't ever have to deal with them hitting that net EFT from you. So, somebody cancels. Now, I'm going to go through the steps with you. So I hope you're paying close attention. Every cancellation is to be researched. Pull the member profile up on the software. You want to look at the member join date, calculating any freezes, services most used, and most purchased product. What does that mean? If they're a member and they love using the hydration, for example, and they love the contour oil, how on earth will you ever be able to do without getting your contour oil? How in the world would you be able to go and survive without using this hydrodermal fusion bed or this massage service, Miss Mary, and so on and so forth? So usually what we like to do for a cancellation consultation is if somebody comes in or calls and they say, I want to cancel my membership. Most of you, hopefully, all of you, have your consultants on a well understanding that they cannot accept any cancellations. Maybe they can get the request form signed, or maybe you have it very strict to say, you know what, my manager handles that. You'll need to come in. I can tell you, you'll need to sign some paperwork for it. My manager will be in on these days, so come on in and do that at that time. So if you have the luxury of being able to take on a cancellation consultation at the time the member comes in and says, I want to sign my cancellation paperwork, that's amazing. But if you don't have time and you're doing other things, it is important that you have that consultation scheduled and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to print up the request for you and make sure they understand it's just a request. It's not the actual cancellation. And what I want to do is actually, if we can, face-to-face meet tomorrow. If you don't have that luxury, I'll give you a call later. At least try to do it on the phone. So at that time, you want to be able to schedule this opportunity to talk to them about the other options where they can potentially not have to wait 60 days. So that's the WIFM for the member to want to schedule that consultation with you. So you'll have that paper in hand. That's the only paper you'll really need for a cancellation consultation is that request to cancel that they signed. If they didn't sign it yet, then just plain paper and pen for you to take any notes on, but that's it. No documents really needed. But you want to look at the member join date and the services most used along with the most products purchased. The cancellation request document, flip it over, or the paper that you're using. And these are going to be your notes to take during your consultation. What you want to do is gather any information you can personalize for your outreach to save that member. Let's say you are researching this and you do not have that cancellation yet. You're not sitting there doing that consultation. You're about to. Maybe you're preparing for it. It's in the next 15 minutes. You want to be sure you're fully prepared so you're not taken off guard and you can have solutions and backup plans in case your first solution fails. So let's just say we're using the example that we're calling that member. There's just one more thing for you to look at before you do any outreach. You have to look at the reason for the cancellation. That's pretty simple. Here are the 4 options that you're going to need to consult the member on based on their specific situation. There's the freeze, the downgrade, both of those, freeze and downgrade, or transfer. You're obviously not going to consult a member requesting to cancel, to freeze or downgrade, or both if their reason to request states that they're moving, no reciprocation option. There's no Planet Beach in the area. They're moving. They're in the military. Even if they're sick, there's some type of medical reason preventing them to go and use your services. Well, what's the solution there? Transfer. What's the benefit for the member? What is the member's WIFM? Immediate cancel. They love to hear that. Something like financial, lack of use, inconvenience, medical depending on the severity of the issue. The solution here is to freeze or to freeze and downgrade. The benefit for the member, you work out the details and bargain on a fee and length of time you'll help them freeze for. Can't afford it? What can they afford? Consult on the lesser cost membership. Explain why they will eventually come back. They always come back. That's just a little tip, word of advice. They always come back for some reason, whether it's just a wedding they have to go to or, they're gearing up for the summer, so they're going to come back. They're going to need a healthy glow. They're going to need to lose some weight and get in that bathing suit, so they always come back eventually. Consult them on that you're just trying to avoid them having to pay to re-enroll the membership. Always remember, in every single case scenario, usage fees have nearly doubled since they've signed up on their particular membership. You don't want to just have them lose out in the end. You want to seem like you're trying to help them, not trying to keep taking their money. It's important for you to know that difference. Then use your head, you guys. You know where the conversation's going to go. You know where to take the conversation. Working with the member on their specific situation is what you do as a consultant already. So whenever you're selling and pitching a new membership, when you're trying to overcome objections to get an EFT member, you're already working individually on overcoming objections. It's the same tactic when you're trying to save a member from canceling you. You have to be a consultant, but not so much a spa consultant, more like a scenario consultant, if you will. Do the same for a member that's trying to abandon their membership. Let them see that you genuinely want to help them reach a more beneficial solution on what's going to ultimately be best for them. See what's approved per member situation by your direct report. So what I mean is, if you have to work out a deal that says, 20% of the freeze fee is too much because it's a financial reason, if I want to say, you know what, let me see, I'll go ahead and double check with my boss, my manager, my franchisee, and see if it's okay that I drop that to $5 a month, until you can get back on your feet, just to avoid losing that hit to your net EFT and losing that member. Remember that you don't use a third-party collections agency. You don't report to credit bureaus. So that's why it's always important when you're pitching and selling a membership to remind them, listen, we work with every member-specific individual situation now. So if something were to come up, don't ever be afraid to call us and tell us and ask for help and ask us what we can do to work with you, because we do that now with our existing members. Same goes for cancellations, but always make sure that your consultants understand, or if they are in charge of this, or your spa director understands that when it comes to something like financial, everything must be approved. If a person's laid off of work but expresses how much they want to keep their membership, they use services often, they're normally on time each month with payments, they're great on referral sources, do whatever you need to do in order to keep them, that is a loyal and that is a good member to have. If the member's canceling because the monthly usage fee is too high to fit their budget, you'll obviously consult on the downgrade. Get approval per situation, obviously. But again, you need to do whatever it takes to show that member you genuinely want to help them. Many of you had noticed in the software that there is a membership that exists in there called the limited membership. That's $19 a month. I recommend that you always drop down to silver if they're not silver already, because that's $39 a month. However, if they're already silver, that membership in there is made specifically not to openly sell to a new member, so much so as to save a member trying to cancel for financial reasons. So remember that much in case you've always seen that membership and said, what in the heck is a $19 membership for anyway? Who would ever buy this? It's not meant to be sold as a new membership. It's meant to save a canceling member. So now that you know that, you can remember this when someone's canceling because they just can't afford that monthly payment, but they want to use Planet Beach services, at least one spa service a month anyway. The most effective method of saving a member by outreach is the quote-unquote informal / courtesy / non-planned phone call. So again, we're using the reference of if we have to do this phone call outreach. Again, it's always best to do a face-to-face consultation, but rather than not do one at all, always know your second best option is to talk to them on the phone and try and get them to have this conversation with you rather than not at all, so that you do everything in your power to try and save that member. So keep this in mind when reaching out to the member. Ask yourself this. This is the part where you always hear me say this in a lot of my webinars and a lot of my specific calls and trainings. You always hear me say, put your consumer cap on. This is the time where you have to do that. If you go to the gym, ask yourself this. If you go to the gym yourself personally, this is not Planet Beach related. If you yourself are a member of the gym or a country club or something like that, where you have a subscription-based account with somebody, you place a usage fee to use something that you particularly use, and you put in for a cancellation of your membership. I want you to tell me, ask yourself this, which script are you most likely going to be more susceptible to changing your mind on canceling whatever subscription that is? Here's example 1. Hello, may I please speak to Amy Brown? Hi, Amy. This is Danielle. I'm the spa consultant from Planet Beach Spa in New Orleans. How are you today? Amy, I was just reaching out to see if there were any other options you'd like to consider before proceeding with the cancellation to your membership. We can freeze or downgrade, or both if you'd like. Do any of these options sound like something you would consider doing with us so that you don't lose this membership? It sounds professional, doesn't it? Sounds like I know what I'm talking about, but it also sounds like a sales pitch. It sounds like you're trying to save your own butt, right? So that's why it's important to say, am I being personally spoken to, or is this somebody that only cares about my money? However, let's turn this around. Hi, Amy. Is this Amy? Amy, hey, it's Danielle calling from Planet Beach over here in New Orleans. How are you? That's awesome. Hopefully they say great. Hey, Amy, I was just going through my list of cancellations and putting them in process, and I ran across your request to cancel. Amy, please tell me this isn't true. You love your membership. I mean, you're practically addicted to the Hydroderm infusion or the hydration station as often as you come in here and do it. As sad as it makes us to see you have to cancel, because I see that this is due to financial hardship, I wanted to personally reach out to you and remind you that you did receive the membership benefit of freezing your membership when you signed up with us about 8 months ago. I wanted to reach out to see in case you forgot that. I wanted to remind you. That's why I was placing this quick little call. Now, I know your membership agreement says it's 3 months freeze and 20% of your monthly fee, but because you're such a loyal member, we hate to see you go and we love having you. Let's figure out another solution here for you, Amy. Let's work together. What can we do to change these terms up based on your situation? I'd hate to have you, we know you're going to come back. I'd hate to have you re-enroll, even worse, pay twice as much for that same membership when you decide to come back. It's nearly doubled. for this membership since the 6 or 8 months ago. Let us help. What can we do for you? What can I do to make sure that this does not happen? What's a price point? What can you do just to keep this frozen? And how long do you think it's going to be before you think you'll be able to come back to us? Just I can't let this happen. So when you reach out to these members, or when you're having this consultation, maybe you want to have that consultation and you can have it face to face. Maybe you're doing it on the phone. You're going to talk to them about these different options: the transfer, the freeze. Let's go ahead and get these members set up on a specific freeze option or program. You're going to utilize the prospecting log under your current Spa Consultant prospecting binder. Here's the example. I have this document in the handouts for you to download. If you don't use the digital part of the Spa Director Master Workbook, that is Cancellations tracking, you can use this to be able to follow up. Maybe somebody says, you know what, let me see if I can find somebody that wants to take my membership over. They have 60 days to do that. So in the meantime, you want to set them up on a service a regime form, to where they're coming in and at least using the services. Hey, they got to pay for it anyway, right? So it makes no sense to just sit back and let that member not use any of the services in the meantime while they're looking for somebody to take their membership on. It's also a good tracking log to use whenever you're trying to call somebody back. Maybe they're at work and they say they can't talk right now. Well, this is something that you're going to use daily to be able to say, oh, I called Miss Mary 2 days ago. I didn't call her yesterday. Let me call and follow up and see if she found anybody that might want that membership from her. So that's why this is important for you to use this resource, this tool, to stay on top of all of those members that want to cancel you. Then what you're going to do here is you're going to repeat this. You're going to repeat this task and string of tasks once a week to ensure the easy flow of each request to cancel. If you stay on top, if you stay ahead, you don't have to worry about taking those 13 forms and plugging in the cancellations for immediate cancel because you forgot to stay on top of it all month long. If you dedicate and you use your tools and resources like the Google Calendar or your reminders on your phone to say, hey, it's time to set aside and do some outreach and call these people that want to leave and do this process, it's very, very important for you to stay on top of that, to where you're not taken off guard and you have to take a $600 cancellation hit to your draft, and next month all those memberships you worked so hard to sell, it's basically null and void. It's like you didn't even do anything at all. So it's very important for you to do this reactively and proactively. Now, what I do want to share with you, other than these helpful hints that you see here on your screen, to stay on top of your follow-up and so on and so forth, I want to talk about being proactive. Now, many of you are very afraid of being proactive on trying to reach out to get people re-PSP'd in your spas. What do I mean by that? Those members that never come but have been paying you since day one. You're afraid to call them and remind them of that membership that they have with you in the event they say, oh, I've been meaning to cancel that, or what are you talking about? I didn't even know I had that. Cancel me. That's okay, because guess what? You have a 60-day cancellation in place for a reason. That's one of the reasons that it is set up to be the way that it is. That's for you guys to have the time to say, perfect, okay, if you want to cancel your membership, here are a few steps you have to take. You need to come in when the spa director is here, and you'll need to sign that request to cancel form, and we can get that process going for you right away. Don't show that you're alarmed. Don't show that you're trying to stop or save them, because they're going to see that you only care about their money and that they're expecting a fight from you, or they'll be on the defense expecting you not to want them to cancel. So when you go to them and you ask them to come in so you can do a consultation with them, meet them, maybe they signed up long before you or any of your staff members were even there to sell them on anything, that's okay. You want to get them in the door and divide up that list and those reports of those members, like we mentioned previously, to get them in and PSP'd, because chances are they've either never come in, they've come in a couple of times back when you were tanning, back before you had all those additional services, maybe you just got a hot box, whatever the case might be, you have something there for them to try out and see, and they have 60 days. You're going to set them up on a personal regime to use these services, because you're going to talk to them like a consumer in this consultation. Here's your cancellation paperwork. Now, since you're paying for this, it'd be crazy not to use it. And I know you're going to love these massage services, the facial services, based on their PSP. What are they going to use? If it's weight management, let them use Slim Capsule, Hot Box Detox, whatever the case might be. And they're going to use these services. Guess what you are chancing to have happen? They're either going to, A, stick with you. If they still want to leave, they have 60 days to decide if they want to transfer that. What's the whiff from there? Again, immediate cancel if they find someone that takes that membership on from them. Or the worst case scenario is, you know what, I'm not going to use this right now. I don't want this membership. Get me out of it. I don't care to utilize it. Then just say, okay, well, the least that we can do is get you utilizing these services, so that way you're not wasting any of this money. It's like opening up the window and throwing, I don't know, $69, $59 out the window for no good reason. That'd be silly. So let's go ahead and talk to them about these things, and talk to them and be a scenario consultant, because it's important for you to remember to speak that way to them when they see that you're just being real and you're just being honest and you're just telling them, listen, I'm trying to help you. That's all I want to do. And then, of course, you end up keeping them in the most case, and in the last case scenario. And that's whenever you want to go through all of the new member follow-up. Treat them like a new member. Thank them for staying. Send a thank you card. Thank you for staying with us. I look forward to being your personal trainer, basically, your personal spa consultant to help you with reaching the goals that you have. You never know what they have coming up. They may have an event coming up that they can utilize your services for. And then always, guys, tell people that are like that. Tell any of the members that are trying to leave you or trying to cancel you, or these members that you're proactively reaching out to that don't want to spend money on something they're not going to use, remind them of Ambassador. That always saves the day in the end. You don't have to pay for it at all, actually. You work at a gym, so technically if you can get at least 5 people to 10 people to come in here and use a week of services, and we can get 5 to 10 of those people to become a member the same way you once did maybe years ago, you don't have to pay for this at all, and you could still come in and use this stuff. How awesome is that, right? Using the nodding head and the assuming of the sale tactics. So make sure that you talk to them about that as well, because that's ultimately going to help you with saving the people that don't remember or don't want that membership. That'll save them. So don't be afraid to reach out and be proactive to your member database and call them and schedule a PSP, because if they say they want to cancel, they have to come in to sign paperwork, and that's your opportunity to follow the cancellation consultation with them and set them up on services to use so that you chance getting them hooked again. So the helpful hints: customer service, send your cards, do your new member follow-up calls. When pitching or your EFT memberships, here's my best advice I'll give to you guys. When you're covering and it's time for you to do the membership presentation, please slow down and focus on the benefit of the freeze and the transfer options before resorting to a cancel. Example, okay, how long is this membership for? Well, we know it's 24 months, and we want to let them know that after, well, you know what, this membership is a 24-month membership. After that, it cuts in half based on a loyalty program. But let me talk to you about other benefits other than being able to, we do have cancel options, but let's talk about the fact that we freeze. We freeze over here. Everything's done in-house based on every individual member's situation. We also give you the opportunity to gift this to a friend, because right now this price point is so amazing and it could change at any given moment. You can give this to anybody you like, and you would be able to come off of that immediately. It's amazing. So spend a lot of time when pitching your memberships. Most of you use the pitch sheets, and a lot of you focus on selling membership based on the services and products. But I always love to tell everybody to sell the membership based on the member benefits. The member benefits is what most people say yes to the most over those services, because that's a luxury at the end of the day. Many Eileens and many of our target demographic would spend anything on looking and feeling good. But for those who you've noticed in your tour hasn't really paid much attention, or hasn't really responded or reacted much to saying, you know what, I got bills to pay, looking and feeling great would be a nice luxury, but that's not priority. That's whenever I would know as a consultant to, based on the scenario, cover those member benefits, because that's what they need to hear. They're frugal. They're watching every penny that's coming in and out of that bank account, and that's what's important for you to pay attention to. So slow it down when it comes to the membership itself and what the features and benefits are there, and as well as the services and products. See to it that your consultants stop focusing on the tanning members and give all their focus to the spa members that pay for what we sell. A customer service promise, results. They stick around and are loyal. The tanners, they're in and out. We're trying to slow them down with that PSP consultation. But whenever you have your consultants focusing on those who are using spa services, they like that experience, that service. They like whenever you consult with them to keep them around. They like when you do all of the random acts of kindness. They appreciate it more so than that 20-year-old that has a sorority formal next week that doesn't even care to talk to you. They're the most guaranteed to winning over the canceling tanning members, or the seasonal tanners or sessions. So guys, I thank you for hanging out with me. I thank you so much for this. We actually have a I'll put this on Orion. I'll put it on the Facebook group page, the recording of this. If you have questions, please contact Spa Performance at planetbeach.com for further details. If you want to have one-on-one training on this, contact your regional developer, your Spa Performance consultant. We're more than happy to do this, but hopefully you've taken a lot from today to where you can at least do all those reactive approaches to your PSP, 90-day PSP consultations and your cancellation consultations. And I do look forward to seeing how many of you save those members that are trying to cancel with you before the new year. Thank you so much, you guys, and have an amazing day. And as always, don't forget to be awesome. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.